With the 2022 edition of the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite, Samsung released a new version of its popular mid-range tablet that was released in 2020 originally. At first sight, nothing has changed, but on the inside, Samsung changed the processor and it should get longer updates. I'm Andrew from MyNextTablet.com, and in this Galaxy Tab S6 Lite comparison, you learn how much better the new edition is. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm testing almost every tablet that gets released, including the tablets from Samsung and including all the other S6 Lite tablets that Samsung will release in the future. Let's check out the differences between the 2022 and 2020 Galaxy Tab S6 Lite first. Regarding hardware, there's just one difference between the two, which is their processors. While Samsung used their own Samsung Exynos 9611 chipset in the first generation, the new one features the Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G processor. Both have 4GB of RAM, and you can get them with 64 and 128GB of internal storage. Even though there are no huge differences in benchmarks, they are not the same. It's interesting to point out that in the Geekbench 5 compute test, the graphics performance of the older tablet is better. However, the processor power of the newer one is stronger in both single and multi-core tests. In the 3D Max Slingshot benchmark, the graphics performance of the Snapdragon 720G is better than of the 2020 version. On comparison diagrams, the difference can seem huge sometimes, but when also comparing it with other tablets, the difference gets much smaller. Both are just a bit better than the Galaxy Tab A8, and both are much weaker than the Xiaomi Pad 5 and Apple iPad 9. My gaming test confirms that real-life performance is almost identical. At least it's so small that it's really hard to tell which one is faster overall. You can install Fortnite on both, but when setting the graphics to medium, the frame rate drops fast on each during action and often below 20 FPS. When setting the graphics to low and reducing the 3D resolution, however, Fortnite runs quite well. PUBG Mobile is an interesting comparison. While you can set the graphics to HD only on the 2022 S6 Lite, the 2020 generation can handle HDR settings. But with graphics set to HDR, the game looks worse and stutters more than if you set it to HD. And set to HD, the game looks great and runs well on both. So basically, there's no real difference between the two, except that the S6 Lite has more settings. During my everyday use, I didn't notice a difference either. Sometimes I get the feeling that the newer version is a tick faster, but the difference is so small that it doesn't really count, and when trying to measure it, it seems to be a placebo effect. There are differences regarding their software. Well, actually, there will be differences regarding the software. On the new Galaxy Tab S6 Lite runs Android 12, and while the 2020 version was released with Android 10, it got an update to Android 12 already. So at the moment, the software is the same. We get standard Android with Samsung's customizations. I love that both support the Samsung DeX desktop mode, and the fantastic Samsung Notes app is the same too. I'm pretty sure that there will be differences in the future. Usually, Samsung is releasing at least 2 or 3 big version updates for their tablets. So it could be that the 2020 S6 Lite will get Android 13. But since the 2022 version is newer, I'm pretty sure it will also get Android 14 and most likely Android 15. I can be wrong, of course, and Samsung might update the 2020 version as long as they will the 2022 version. But usually, manufacturers don't surprise us with longer updates. That's very rare because they want you to buy new devices. There's a difference in their battery life. While the 2020 version lasted 7 hours, in my test the new edition got 7.5 hours. For this, I'm always looping an HD YouTube video at maximum brightness. The difference in runtime is probably due to the different processors. Everything else is the same. We get premium feeling metal bodies, a USB-C port, as well as a microSD card slot, and even a standard headphone jack. They've got 2 and the same speakers and decent cameras. The displays are 10.4 inches in size and have a resolution of 2000 by 1200 pixels. It's a standard LCD with 60 Hz on which you can write with the S Pen. That pen is included and the software features for the stylus are the same. So let's get to the end of my comparison of the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite from 2020 and 2022. As you've seen, the differences are minor. On paper, the performance of the new one is a little bit better in most cases, but it's hard to notice that in real life. The battery life of the 2020 version is longer too, and it should get longer updates. If you own the 2020 version already, it does not make sense to upgrade. But if you're looking for a new Android tablet with S Pen, then sure, get the new one because you will get longer updates. It's a bit disappointing that prices did not change. In most countries, the S6 Lite from 2022 costs as much as it did in 2020. I guess the reasons are inflation and the chip shortage. But that also means that it costs as much as the Apple iPad 9, which might have an older looking design and a not laminated screen, but it's much faster. Alright, that's been my comparison of the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite from 2020 with the 2022 generation. If you have any questions, write them down below. I'm Andrzej from mynexttablet.com. Thanks for watching and see you next time.